Yo, what's good, YouTube, man? It's Gary with another Fan TV back at you. Another video. Like the content of this video, go and smash that like button. Like the content of this channel, go and subscribe, man. Look, so Ravens versus Giants game preview, right? Talk about the game that the Ravens got to play on Sunday. A game that the Ravens are, I believe, is 16-point favorites. Um, so it could be higher than that, could be a little lower than that. But last time I checked, it was about 16-point favorites, which is the largest spread this season, right? Now, obviously, not here to talk about no gambling or anything like that, but those games, the Ravens are heavy favorites in this game. So let's talk about it. All right. So first, start off with the injury report, right? All right, for the Ravens, honestly, it looks pretty good, right? Um, Rashad Bateman, no injury designation. Kyle Van Noy, no designation. All right. Then you got guys like Michael Pierce, who was a full participant all week, got him listed as questionable. I assume that he's going to come back and play. All right. So TJ Tampa on here is even as a full participant. Not sure if he gets any run, but anyway, the Ravens injury report is looking really good, right? Um, they're going to have pretty much all of their main important players healthy and available. But obviously, Deontay Johnson is still on the suspension, right? That's pretty much the only guy, right? So Ravens are in a good shape right now. In good shape right now. On the Giants side, right? I'm not gonna go through the whole injury report. The injury report is quite lengthy. But the main thing to point out is that Danny DeVito, that's funny. Tommy DeVito will be their quarterback, right? Drew Lock has been listed as doubtful. He's listed as heel and left elbow, right? So um, Brian Dable already came out said Drew Lock is not playing. That Tommy DeVito is going to go out there and be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants this week, right? So, all right, we know that. Okay, now on to the Giants. Their last three games, 0-3, right? Giants are 2-11 on the year, been a rough season for the Giants. 30-7 loss to the Buccaneers, 27-20 close game, but loss to the Cowboys. 14-11 loss versus the Saints, right? All right, so it's been a little bit of a rough stretch for the Giants, right? That game versus the Saints, I think Drew Lock started the game like 0 for 8, 0 for 9. He ended up getting better as the game went along, but it was a rough game for them. All right. Now, the interesting thing about the Giants is that they're pretty bad on offense, right? They got a couple of key skill players. They're pretty bad on offense outside of that, but on defense, they're pretty much middle of the pack, right? So if they had just maybe a middle of the pack offense, this season would be very very different for them, right? But it hasn't gone that way. So on defense, right, only allowing 22 points a game, which is 16th, right? When it comes to rushing, that's a weakness of theirs. But some of that numbers I think can be explained by the fact of how they're in these games, right? So when you give 141 yards rushing the game, a lot of these games you're trailing, teams running out the clock, and then you're only giving them 194 yards through the air. That's a top 10 passing defense. But once again, you know, your teams aren't throwing the ball on you as much because they're usually up in this games winning, trying to run the clock out. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit of give and take on it. Also, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned in the injury report as well that one of the Giants' most important player, Dexter Lawrence, is not going to be playing. Right? It was points in this year where he was leading the NFL in sacks as a defensive tackle. Right? He's truly a menace on the interior. Right? So if he was playing, that would have gave the Ravens a huge test. Right? But he's not out there, so Ravens catch a break in that sense. Right? But so the Giants' defense, right? Like I said, it's not a terrible unit, right? They do some good things. Um, they don't they just not supported by the offense, right? It's a give and take with these kind of things, right? So that's kind of how I feel about the Giants defense, right? Not a terrible unit overall. So I don't think it's going to just be easy cakewalk for the Ravens. Ravens will have to earn it, and they should go out there and earn it, right? Um, they're going to test this They're going to test this rushing defense, especially without Dexter Lawrence in the middle, and see what happens from there, right? And I think the Ravens will be successful at doing that. Okay. All right. Now Giants offense, right? This is where you kind of get to more stuff that's down bottom, right? 26th in yards per game, 301 yards a game, 23rd on third down percentage, 3.2 sacks allowed a game for 26th. And then, this is kind of goes into the fact of that they're trailing in a lot of games, but they got to throw the ball, right? So 35 attempts, pretty much 36 attempts a game for eighth in the NFL, 185 yards a game for 28th, right? So your top 10 in attempts, bottom five in the league, in terms of yards per game, right? So just does not very good on offense. Okay, I mean that's just the fact of it. All right. 25.8 attempts a game on the ground for 23rd, 115 yards a game for 15th in terms of the yards per game, right? So that's where they have good players, right? Like Tyrone Tracy, right, who seems to be another diamond in a rough find at running back, right? Good player. Even Devin Singletary was giving them good snaps before in this season as well. So they have a decent running attack, and obviously on the outside they got Malik Neighbors, right, who looks to be a young potential superstar wide receiver. Okay, he started the season really really hot, and then he got that concussion in the Cowboys game on I believe that was Thursday night, and the season has kind of up and down for him since then, right? He's been frustrated in the media multiple times, but we don't have to really get into that, right? So for the Giants, they have a couple of guys that can make plays, but largely their undoing, which has been their undoing the last couple of seasons, that their offensive line is not very good, right? They have a guy in Andrew Thomas who's a good player, but besides that, the offensive line is not very good, right? So the Ravens should be able to take advantage of that, all right? I'm not gonna make this probably super long as it usually is today, so as you, let's go to the key to the game, right? All right, so for the offense, right? Keys against the offense, right? Let's get back on track a little bit, okay? The Giants are solid defensively, but this is a game where the Ravens should still have the upper hand and dominate, right? Across the defensive line, the Giants do have some guys that can get after the passer. You know, you got your Brian Burns, you got Ojulari, guys like that. But at the end of the day, this Ravens team should be able to move them up front. Derrick Henry should have a 100-yard day on the ground, right? You know, somewhere between 17 and 22 carries, 100 plus. That should be the kind of game Derrick Henry has on Sunday, right? And as far as throwing the ball, I expect the Ravens to get back on track on there as well, right? I really want the Ravens to commit to being a team where they do that zone running game, and they do play action off of that, and they keep Patrick Ricard on the field. I would say 40 to 50% of the snaps, right? It's a large number, it really is. But I think this is the kind of game where you could try some things, right? Not disrespectful to the Giants, right? The Giants will be a good competition, right? But when I say try things, I mean like having Patrick Carr play a heavier snap count. And that's because when the games get on later in the season, right, and the Ravens are going to play better defensive lines, more aggressive, more attacking defensive lines. I believe the Steelers might be the next game after this, right? You are going to need in my opinion, you're going to need guys physical as Patrick Ricard in the game, right? That's just my opinion, flat out about it. All right. I don't like when we go against these teams with physical, tough defensive lines, and Patrick Ricard plays 25% of the snaps. To me, that just doesn't make sense, right? Especially if you know at both guard spots you're a little weak on the interior, right? Get somebody else out there who is a great physical blocker who can help, right? So I would love to see some more of that in this game for the Ravens. Whether it happens or not, I don't know, but I would love to see it. All right. Now for the defense, right? For the defense, keys to the game, right? Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy, the two top playmakers on this offense to me, right? Um, these are the two guys you cannot let get off, right? Now Neighbors is probably going to get his targets because they're not going to read. There's really not many other players to throw the ball to, so Neighbors is probably going to see 7 to 10 targets this game, right? But if you can keep them in front of you, don't let them get behind, don't let them break any tackles, and limit those explosive plays, how the Ravens have been doing the last, I would say, 3-4 weeks, the Ravens will be okay with those guys, right? And then running the ball, the Ravens are going to have Michael Pierce back. Travis Jones is no longer on the injury report. That bye week was really great for him because he had that lingering kind of ankle injury. So with Pierce, Matabike, Jones, I think the Ravens' run defense is going to be just fine how it has been all year, but even better now that they got those guys back playing, right? So that kind of rotation on the interior defensive line gives me really, really great hope about how the Ravens are going to attack the run, right? All right. And then Tommy DeVito, right? Tommy DeVito is going to be the quarterback for this game. Don't drop levels, right? All right. Do not drop levels. This is the main complaint for me when Ravens play teams that are suboptimal to them, that are way below their level, is dropping down to the competition, right? Tommy DeVito was the quarterback. Tommy DeVito was not a good quarterback, okay? He's probably a practice squad level kind of guy. Unfortunately for the Giants, he has to play in this kind of game, right? So the Ravens cannot drop down to that level and make this a back and forth game, right? That just cannot happen. Now, the Ravens defense, as I said, has been better over the last couple of weeks, especially in regarding the pass game, right? So, with that being said, going off recent history, Ravens should be fine in that regard. But let's keep it up, right? We want this game to go more how the Broncos game went than how the Raiders game went, right? All right, and even though the Broncos are a playoff team, they are a good team, right? But at that point in time, it was clear the Ravens were the better team. Just like at the point in time in the season, it was clear the Ravens were the better team than the Raiders, right? All right, so can't do that kind of stuff, right? So I want to see a more of a Broncos like dominant performance than a Raiders game where it's close to the end for no apparent reason. All right. Um, Now X factors, right? Rejuvenated after the bye. Okay. The Ravens had a really late bye week, and I think it could end up being good for them, right? They're gonna come up on this stretch of I think it's like 3 games in 10 days, right? This might be one of the first games. So they're going to have the Christmas game and another game after that. So we'll see. But at the end of the day, right, after the bye week, the Ravens are a pretty good team, especially that first game. But also with this late bye week it gives you a chance to get ready for the home stretch, right? This is from this point on, Ravens don't need to lose another game, right? That's the kind of mindset the team needs to have, right? That's what I want to see. All right. After this bye week, are you ready just to take off and go straight through the playoffs, hopefully get to the Super Bowl and win it, right? To me, it starts with the Giants this week. How do you handle this game? Do you come out in this game ready to go, fully energized, ready to beat down a 2-11 football team that's playing, that's tanking? Well, I'm gonna say the players are tanking, right? But a 2-11 football team that's playing for draft position, right? They're playing to get their next quarterback, Cam Ward, George Sanders, whoever. That's what they're playing for, right? Can you go out there and dominate this team, right? And get the W, then roll to the Pittsburgh game, get a W, and keep rolling like that, right? Can you do that? All right. So that's what I'm looking out for the Ravens, right? How do they handle the situation that they're in? All right. So this is a very important stretch. I don't think the Ravens need to lose another game from this point out, right? That's high standards, but the Ravens should have high standards. They're a good football team. They should have high standards, right? All right, so that's my thoughts on it. Obviously, guys, give me your thoughts in the comments, right? How you think this game's going to go for the Ravens? I think the Ravens are going to live up to it and answer with a resounding win, right? Especially coming off a bye week, right? We can say a lot of things about John Harbaugh, but his teams are ready to play after a bye week, right? So we know that for sure. All right, give me your thoughts in the comments, man. But it's Gabriel with another Fan TV. I'm out.